Funny thing about nights like this, everything feels perfect, safe, until it isn't. April 14th, 1912, the North Atlantic Ocean. That night, nothing felt wrong. The lights were still on, the music still played, and the ship moved forward as if the ocean itself had made way for it. Because this wasn't just a journey. It was the coronation of an era, the Gilded Age, a time of unshakable confidence, when humanity believed it had finally bent nature to its will. This was proof. Proof that we had conquered distance, mastered engineering, and turned uncertainty into routine. More than 2,200 people were on board that night, and every one of them was living a different story. They were sleeping, laughing, drinking, planning futures that would never happen, and almost none of them were looking at the ocean, because out there in the same darkness, something was waiting, still, silent, invisible, not moving toward them, but exactly in their path. The Titanic wasn't built just to travel. It was built to impress, to dominate headlines, to redefine luxury, to prove a point. At the start of the 20th century, the world was changing faster than ever before. Industry was booming. Cities were growing. Technology was accelerating. And ships like Titanic became floating cathedrals of that power, symbols of a brand of arrogance the world called progress. Crossing the ocean was no longer about survival. It was comfort. It was status. It was control. Or at least, that's what people believed. Inside, it was multiple worlds in one. On the upper decks, champagne, a live orchestra that never seemed to stop, laughter echoing through golden halls, and a grand staircase that rivaled palaces. Men in tuxedos, industrialists, bankers, heirs like John Jacob Astor, IV discussing deals that would change the world. Women in silk gowns, wearing jewels worth more than a third-class passenger would earn in 10 lifetimes. People who didn't just feel but believed. They were untouchable. Below, narrow corridors, shared cabins, the constant hum of the engines as a backdrop, suitcases filled with everything they owned, families chasing something else, a second chance, a new life. America, fleeing poverty in Ireland, the lack of a future in Scandinavia, the unrest in Eastern Europe. For them, Titanic wasn't luxury. It was a vessel of hope, the most expensive ticket they'd ever bought. Paid for with a life's savings. And for days, nothing happened. The ocean stayed calm. The giant engines hummed with quiet confidence, pushing 46,000 tons of steel through the water. Passengers slept peacefully, walked the decks, wrote letters they would never send. No storms, no danger, just silence. But silence can be misleading, because far ahead of them, something was already waiting, not moving, not making a sound, invisible, until it was too late. On April 14th, the warnings started coming in. Ice reports, one after another, from other ships navigating the same treacherous waters. The Mesaba, the Californian, ships that saw the ice field and tried to sound the alarm. Some messages were delivered to the bridge. They were read, noted, and underestimated. Others never reached it, because inside the state-of-the-art radio room, something else mattered more. Messages from first-class passengers. Personal greetings. Stock market transactions. Trivial notes. The radio operator, Jack Phillips, was overwhelmed, sending telegrams that made money for the company. Priority was misplaced. The final, most crucial warning from the nearby Californian, which had stopped for the night, surrounded by ice, was met with irritation. "Shut up, I am busy," Titanic's radio operator replied. And still, the ship didn't slow down. It kept moving at nearly full speed, 22 knots, a reckless pace for an area known to have ice, because slowing down meant something else. Doubt, caution, and doubt was not part of the narrative of the unsinkable ship. That night, the sea was unusually calm, a black mirror, no waves, no wind, no moon. To the passengers, it felt peaceful. To the lookouts in the crow's nest, it was a worst-case scenario, because without waves, there is no white line of breaking water at the base of an iceberg. Icebergs disappear into the darkness. 11:40 p.m. A shape in the distance, darker than the star-filled sky. At first, nothing. Then the devastating recognition. Iceberg, right ahead, orders shouted. Hard to starboard. Engines full astern. The warning bell rang 3 times. The officer on duty acted in seconds. The engines reversed. The wheel turned. But the ship was too big, too fast, too late. There was no explosion, no dramatic crash, just a long, unnerving sound. A scraping, like a giant nail being slowly torn along the ship's metal hull. Most passengers barely noticed. A vibration, a strange noise, then silence again. But deep inside the ship, water was already pouring in, cold, dark, and violent. One compartment, then another, then another. The ship was designed to survive, with 4 of its watertight compartments flooded, but the iceberg had opened 5. Within minutes, the engineers understood something no one else did yet. The math was unforgiving. This ship was going to sink, but on deck, nothing looked wrong. The lights were still on. The orchestra started playing again. People were still laughing, and that made it worse. Because when danger doesn't look like danger, people ignore it. When the lifeboats were prepared, many didn't want to leave. It didn't make sense, so they waited, and the boats left half empty. Time passed, slowly at first, then all at once. The angle of the deck steepened. Fear replaced confusion, and suddenly, everyone understood. 2:20 a.m. The Titanic was gone, broken in half, swallowed by the ocean. Over 1,500 people never made it out of the water. The water was freezing, below 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Most who entered it had only minutes. The ocean became silent again, as if nothing had happened. Days later, the world stopped. Newspapers filled with names. Families waited at the docks, hoping for a miracle. Some got answers. Most did not. Because Titanic wasn't just a ship. It was a belief. A belief that progress meant safety, that size meant strength, that success meant control, and that belief collapsed in a single night, because the most dangerous disasters don't begin with the impact. They begin much earlier, with ignored warnings, with misplaced priorities, with a confidence so blind, it refuses to see the danger right in front of it. Out there, 500 feet below the surface, what's left of the Titanic is slowly disappearing, consumed by pressure and time. But the story isn't, because it was never just about the ocean or about an iceberg. It was about us.